I've got some troubling news about England's royal family.
Behind the heavy velvet curtains and gilded doors of the royal residences, a quiet but decisive battle for the future of the British monarchy has reached a point of no return. What began as subtle whispers in the cold corridors of Balmoral and Windsor has now crystallized into a coordinated movement led by two of the most trusted figures in the crown, Prince William and Princess Anne. For years, the royal house has maintained an aura of unity to the public eye, presenting a polished image of stability despite personal grievances and emotional fractures. However, with King Charles facing ongoing health struggles and public sentiment shifting continuously, the silent tolerance that once held the family together has dissolved. Prince William, the direct heir to the throne, and Princess Anne, universally recognized as the firm guardian of royal duty, have quietly joined forces in an unspoken alliance aimed at safeguarding the integrity of the institution. At the heart of their shared resolve is a single, uncompromising objective: ensuring that Queen Camilla's authority and public presence do not extend beyond the reign of King Charles. To understand the roots of this unprecedented pact, one must look at the deeply ingrained principles that drive both William and Anne. Princess Anne has dedicated her entire adult life to serving the crown with unwavering discipline, strictly following the traditional standards set by her mother, Queen Elizabeth II. To Anne, royal status is not something to be wielded for personal prestige or public validation. It is an obligation paid through relentless service and sacrifice. Palace sources indicate that Anne has long viewed Camilla's elevated status with deep skepticism, seeing her ascension not as an earned achievement of duty, but as the result of personal affection and media management. Anne's frustration stems from a belief that the core values of the monarchy are being diluted into something more performative, shifting away from the steadfast dignity maintained by previous generations. Meanwhile, Prince William's motivation is anchored in both institutional responsibility and intense personal memory. The shadow of his late mother, Princess Diana, remains a constant presence in his life and vision for the future. Watching the very woman whose relationship shattered his mother's world now wearing a crown and occupying the highest female rank in the realm has created an enduring emotional friction. While William has always fulfilled his duty alongside his father with stoic professionalism, those closest to him note that his loyalty lies firmly with the future of the crown and the legacy left behind by Diana. The shift from quiet tolerance to strategic action did not happen overnight. It was forged through a series of subtle encounters, private conversations during state events, and deliberate glances shared across formal dining rooms. In the months following the coronation, William and Anne began aligning their schedules, coordinating their positions in key advisory meetings, and ensuring that their influence within the household outweighed any counter-narrative. Their shared strategy is not rooted in public drama or dramatic confrontations. Instead, it utilizes the precise machinery of royal protocol itself. The agreement dictates that when King Charles's reign inevitably reaches its conclusion, Camilla will not retain an extended public role, nor will she receive the sweeping honors traditionally considered for a queen emeritus. Her transition out of the public eye is designed to be quiet, permanent, and absolute. William will step forward as the modernized face of the new era, while Anne acts as the structural architect, quietly reordering internal protocols, succession transition frameworks, and ceremonial duties to ensure the monarchy returns to its core lineage without delay. As this invisible pressure builds within the royal household, the atmosphere behind palace walls has become increasingly strained. Queen Camilla, seasoned in navigating public scrutiny and internal opposition, has reportedly begun sensing the gradual contraction of her influence. Staff members have noted subtle realignments within offices, changes in daily scheduling, and a noticeable distance from key royal advisors who once sought her input. Despite holding the title of Queen Consort, Camilla finds herself standing on fragile ground, surrounded by institutional structures that are slowly pivoting toward the future leadership of Prince William and Princess Catherine. Every official engagement and private council now carries an undercurrent of tension, as the silent agreement between William and Anne continues to shape the royal landscape from within. The decision has been made, the blueprint has been drawn, and the stage is set for a transition that will redefine the House of Windsor forever. As the silent architecture of the pact between Prince William and Princess Anne took hold, the pressure within the royal walls began to manifest in small but deeply significant moments. What started as subtle diplomatic repositioning soon erupted into visible friction during major high-profile engagements. One of the most critical turning points occurred during a high-stakes official tour, where the carefully constructed facade of unity completely shattered behind closed doors. Foreign delegations and seasoned observers noted an unmistakable chill during formal receptions. Camilla's keynote addresses, once expected to cement her position as a confident queen consort, were met with polite yet noticeably restrained applause. The atmosphere was dense with hesitation, signaling to all those watching closely that her standing among international figures and domestic traditionalists remained profoundly fragile. William, attending key segments of the itinerary, maintained a distance that was as calculated as it was commanding. In photos that circulated globally, his positioning was strategically arranged to draw focus away from Camilla, subtly reasserting the primary line of succession. Meanwhile, Princess Anne operated with quiet yet hated precision, using private luncheons with senior diplomats to reinforce the permanent values of the crown, values that noticeably bypassed Camilla's recent contributions. The psychological fallout from these public stumbles echoed immediately through Clarence House and Buckingham Palace. Camilla, realizing that her influence was being systematically dismantled, reportedly experienced moments of intense frustration and isolation. Behind closed doors, heated exchanges took place as she confronted palace advisors, demanding answers for what she perceived as deliberate administrative sabotage and cold public reception. Yet, her complaints fell on deaf ears within a household that was rapidly recalibrating its loyalties toward the future reign. Long-serving aides, sensing the irreversible shift in power, began discreetly distancing themselves from her office, while key press strategies were quietly redirected to highlight the growing duties of Princess Catherine. In an effort to counter this mounting isolation, Camilla sought intervention from King Charles, urging him to reassert his authority and protect her standing within the official record. However, King Charles found himself trapped in a heartbreaking dilemma, caught between his devotion to the woman he fought for decades to marry and the overwhelming duty to protect the survival of the monarchy. Beset by physical fatigue and the heavy burden of his own health challenges, the king ultimately realized that defying his son and sister would risk a catastrophic public schism that the institution could not endure. With King Charles unable to stem the tide, Princess Anne moved to execute the next phase of the strategy, the systematic removal of Camilla from key traditional structures and future ceremonial blueprints. Operating through private advisory sessions with long-standing courtiers and constitutional legal experts, Anne initiated a thorough review of transition protocols. The objective was definitive and uncompromising. Documents governing the ceremonial framework of the next reign were quietly altered to ensure that Camilla would be excluded from any ongoing governance, symbolic co-sovereignty, or prominent ceremonial honors upon the king's passing. Rumored elevations into ancient chivalric orders were indefinitely shelved without public explanation, sending a shockwave through Camilla's remaining inner circle. Every draft, every revised clause, and every omitted title served as a deliberate step to ensure that her role in royal history would remain strictly tied to Charles's lifetime, leaving no official footprint on the era that follows. William observed these developments with cold, measured approval, aligning his official schedule and public patronage strategy with Anne's structural overhaul. Together, they effectively severed Camilla's operational roots within the firm, ensuring that the transition to the next generation would be swift, absolute, and unburdened by past controversies. With the structural framework firmly redrawn by Princess Anne and Prince William, the final phase of the transition moved from internal legal protocols into the public eye. The strategy shifted toward reshaping the visible identity of the crown, replacing old narratives with an unyielding commitment to the future. Across official digital platforms, historical exhibits, and ceremonial registries, Queen Camilla's presence was systematically phased out. Photographs featuring her alongside King Charles were replaced with archival images emphasizing continuity, while official media coverage pivoted sharply to spotlight Princess Catherine and Prince William. Catherine's quiet authority and unwavering public trust became the central pillar of this new era. Inside the palace walls, Camilla realized that her leverage had dissolved entirely. In a desperate attempt to protect her legacy, reports surfaced of a deeply personal letter written to King Charles, a raw appeal begging him to stop what she described as an absolute erasing of her life's work. When excerpts of this tension leaked to the press, sparking global media frenzy, the firm stood resolute. Rather than engaging in public dispute, the palace responded with dignified silence, allowing the narrative to settle as an inevitable evolution of the monarchy. As planning for the future coronation of King William V advanced behind closed doors, every detail was crafted to celebrate a restored lineage. The ceremonial blueprint ensured that Princess Catherine would step into her role as queen consort adorned in symbols that directly honored the memory of Princess Diana, effectively bridging the past to a modernized future. Camilla, by contrast, was permanently removed from any ceremonial standing in the upcoming reign, ensuring that her title and influence would fade completely upon the conclusion of Charles's time on the throne. King Charles, facing the fragile reality of his own health and the overwhelming consensus of his successor and sister, quietly accepted the terms to ensure the survival of the crown. The quiet revolution was complete, executed not through public scandal, but through the calm, decisive enforcement of duty and legacy. As a new dawn approaches for the House of Windsor, the monarchy prepares to move forward under the steady leadership of William and Catherine, leaving the shadows of the past behind forever. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more exclusive royal updates.